gaps, whether they might be resources or other challenges, to look at what legislation must be reviewed, if any, and to come back to Parliament with a report with our recommendations and suggestions. And that then brings us here to your police station this morning. We have heard throughout the first 3 days in our engagements, we've heard a lot about the lack of support that victims often get from the police services. We heard one NGO telling us that when a teacher took one child to a police station, that teacher was told that the teacher must come back with the parent, whereas the Children's Act mandates all of us, or gives us all the ability to open cases if we are aware that a statutory rape case has presented itself. So we've seen instances where it looks like there's generally a lack of compliance with the Children's Act, a lack of training for police officers, social workers, nurses, a lack of resources, whether it be social workers, whether it be resources for NGOs. We've seen that there's generally a lack of intergovernmental cooperation, which means our children fall through the gaps. And so the list that the information that we've gathered so far has been long, but this morning we are going to ask our representative of the Justice Portfolio Committee, Honourable Tsotetsi, to take the lead in this discussion. We are also with the whip of our committee, Honourable Chalke Adonis, who will co-chair with him this morning. Of course, we will receive your presentations and afterwards we'll engage in discussions. But thank you very much for putting time aside this morning to be with us. We think this process that we have undertaken is a huge one, it's a critical one, and it's one of national importance. So thank you for availing yourselves to be with us this morning. I must say that the initial work that we are doing is only the first leg. So when we do go back to Parliament, other portfolio committees will still further engage on this topic, and we aim to then put the first report to Parliament for adoption on the 30th of November. But I'm going to just stop there for a second and ask honourable members to introduce themselves. I hope I did introduce myself. I'm Liesel van der Merwe. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I'm going to start on this side.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Fezeka Mbiko Matlamin from Tuchwa. I'm a member of Parliament, and I am a member of this committee, the committee that is Women, Youth and Disabilities. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Khosi Letlape. I'm an alternate member of the Committee for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities and a member of the Health Committee. I'm from Johannesburg.
I'm the member of this committee, Women, Youth, Persons with Disability. I'm the member of Parliament. I'm from Limpopo. Thank you.
Sanbonani, igama lami nguFisani Shabangu, Phuma eMpumalanga. Member of this committee, Women, Youth and People with Disability. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tiamo Tsotetsi. I am a member of a portfolio committee on women, youth and persons with disability, as well as a member of a portfolio committee on justice and constitutional development in the National Assembly. Okay.
Thank you very much and greetings to everyone. Libito Lakake Tsogofatso Megan Chauke Adonis. I am a member of the Portfolio Committee for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities and the WIP. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jasmine Peterson. I'm a member of this committee and I'm from Gauteng, the west of Johannesburg.
Sanbonani, igama lami nguGugulethu wakamchunu. I'm from KZN. I'm a member of parliament and I'm a member of this committee, which is women, youth and persons with disabilities. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Angel Kanyile. I'm a member of parliament. I'm also a member of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. Thank you.
Dumelang bagolo ka leina ke nna Naledi Chirwa Mpungose ke tswa Gauteng ke leloko la Portfolio Committee ya Health deployed by EFF. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Here. My name is Vuyokazi Xalis. I'm the advocate within the National Prosecuting Authority, representing our direct prosecution. What is happening there? Is it me? Okay. I'm representing the Director of Public Prosecution in the division, Advocate Madolo. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I am Linda Jekwa. I'm a state advocate with the National Prosecuting Authority. I am with the Sexual Offences and Community Affairs Unit. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Muzokolo. My surname is Khus. I'm a senior state advocate from NPA, Soccer Unit, Sexual Offences and Community Affairs. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bomkazi Putuzo. I'm a victim assistant officer working at Mtanzania TCC, and I'm under NPA.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Lorinda Songosi. I'm from NPA Soccer Unit. I'm a Tuduzela Care Center coordinator in Tanzania. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brigadier Pudumo. I'm from the Division Detective and Forensic Services, representing the Family Violence, Child Protection, and Sexual Offences. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brigadier Hlalele from Forensic Science Laboratory, Section Head for DNA Analysis. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Brigadier September, Provincial Head for Crime Registrar. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brigadier Frank. I'm the Saint Commander for Cambridge Police Station. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I'm Major General Wright, the District Commissioner for Buffalo City.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. I'm Brigadier Konza, the Provincial Head, Family Violence, Sexual Offences, and Children Protection. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. I'm Colonel Andiswa Mahlelehlele. I am the Provincial Commander for Gender-Based Violence and Victim Empowerment. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Commissioner Van Merwe. I'm from the Commission for Gender Equality.
Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. I'm Vabato Bezweni, the Secretary of the Committee. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Kashfa Abrams, the Content Advisor to the Committee.
Good morning, members and guests. My name is Crystal Levendale. I'm one of the researchers for the Portfolio Committee.
Good morning, I'm Tasneem Matthews, researcher to the committee.
Good morning. My name is Nomvula Kiba. I'm the unit manager in the committee section of Parliament. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Sili. I'm the Executive Secretary in the Office of the Chairperson.
Good morning. I'm Vuzo Somhlasho from the Basil Somhlasho Foundation under VEP programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that round of introductions. I'm now going to hand over to my two co-chairs for the morning session.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. My co-chair here has already introduced herself as this beautiful honorable that is sitting next to me on my left. Now, for the purposes of receiving presentations, it would be good that we move that side. All honorable members find themselves chairs that side. In terms of our program, we are expecting to start with the presentations from 9:45. I just want to say before that this is the final engagement that we are going to have with the stakeholders. The process started off with an engagement with other stakeholders. Today we are dealing with the stakeholders who are responsible for the value chain of what then happens when a perpetrator is arrested and so forth. Now we are going to receive those presentations, but before then, let me just give the co-chair a word so that she can make a remark on that.
Thank you very much to my co-chair, and once again, greetings to all the stakeholders that are with us, and also the civil society organizations who have been part of this process. I think I've been covered in terms of really understanding and unpacking what we are here to unpack and really evaluate, which is statutory rape. We know that in the Eastern Cape, some of the cases are the highest in South Africa, but also we've seen a lot of interventions that have taken place, but identifying that there is a lack of cross-interdepartmental collaboration and stakeholder collaboration that is taking place in order for us to combat gender-based violence, but statutory rape, which is the primary focus of what we are here for. We also know that in the Eastern Cape, there have been high cases of okutwala, which is a contributing factor to statutory rape as well. So this is what we're going to be getting. We're going to have our stakeholders. Thank you very much. We will have our stakeholders who will then present to us statistics, but also what is important for us is really to have an appreciation of the challenges that have been faced by our stakeholders, but also looking at it from a lens of the Eastern Cape. So we'll have a national overview, but we want you to also broaden or focus your focus on the Eastern Cape. We also want interventions. What are your recommendations, which is quite critical for what we are here and gathered to do. I think also what we're going to be doing, we'll have an opportunity where we'll be asking our questions and making our inputs as well. And I think we'll also have an opportunity for those who have joined us from different organizations, perhaps to pose their question or to make their input and recommendations, so that when we go back to the National Assembly, it makes our work better, so that we are able to submit a consolidated report that ensures that we're able to combat the statutory rape and perpetrators are being persecuted. So I'm going to then hand over back to my co-chairperson, who will then take us through in terms of the presentation. We will be going through two presentations, which is from a government lens of view, and those we want them to be high level, we want them to be precise. There's going to be an allocation of 15 minutes per presentation, and we're asking you to really give us the key points that we as a portfolio committee should be focusing on and the public should be aware of, and give us your recommendations as well. I then hand over to my co-chairperson.
Thank you, colleagues. Without wasting time, it's already 9:45. We are going to start off with the SAPS. They are expected to make a presentation right up until 15 minutes? 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. So we are expecting you to conclude it by 10. And then they will be followed by the National Prosecuting Authority, which will also be allocated that amount of time. So we are going to ask all honorable members just to go that side so that we can be able to have sight of the presentations as well. Thank you very much. Who is presenting from the SAPS? Thank you. For the purposes of records, you can just reintroduce yourself again. You can have a mic.
Which will assist us. Oh. So to say, can I have the podium? So that, thank you. Okay. Wenzani ngoku? No, it's okay, Tata. Morning, Honorable Chair, morning members. I don't know what is happening now with the presentation there because it was showing. I don't know whether I may proceed while she's trying to fix it. And time is moving, Andy. I've got only 15 minutes. Okay, proceed. Thank you very much. The first slide will be, before I proceed, I am Brigadier Konza, the Provincial Head for Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit, responsible for investigation of crime. The presentation, the layout is shown there. It starts with the legislative framework, which I'm not gonna go through, honorable members, with your permission. If you go to the next slide. The legislative framework, honorable members, as I was attending the session yesterday, it is the same as the one that was presented by the other government departments, where I just want to focus and emphasize on the obligation to report and who must report, and also the consequences of failing to report, which I think is one of the challenges that we are having. Let's go to introduction. The introduction will be also outlining the people that are involved in statutory rapes as victims, and also the perpetrators, and also the issue of e-consent. Move to introduction, Andy. And also the issue of consent, because there is consent between these two parties. The difference is just the age, 16 downwards, and the person who is older even. There is also an outline in terms of how rural this place is. In terms of the percentage, it is 80%, but I'm not gonna dwell much there. Let's go to the next slide. Here now the crux of the matter. Honorable Chair and members, yesterday I was seeing the high figures that were reported by the other departments. But in terms of the South African police, regarding the cases that are reported and that we have statistics over, it's only 33 cases that were reported for 2024-25 financial year, and the ages are ranging from 12 years to 16 years. This is the layout, the outline of the districts, what each district did receive. Can we go to the next slide? The next slide will show the stations and also the genders of the victims, where you will see in one station, Ipatensi, there was also a boy child that was a victim, which shows that it cuts across the genders. Next slide. The next slide with the pie shows the ages, which ages are more vulnerable in terms of being victims. And the ages of 14 and 15 years, they are the children that were most victims with a percentage of 33% plus. Next slide. Now, as I was saying, I have now to account about the cases that were reported to the South African Police Service. As I said, there were 33 cases for the whole financial year. And out of those 33 cases, there were 20 cases where there was arrest, where people were arrested by FCS units, and also 11 cases were withdrawn before court, meaning that they were sent for a decision. And then the NPA declined to prosecute because of different reasons. And if I make a breakdown of the 20 cases with arrest, 13 of those cases, they are still pending as we talk at court. And then 5 were withdrawn at court. And then 3 accused were convicted. Those 11 I was talking about, so they were declined to be prosecuted, and one of the cases was false. When we say it's false, it's where there are no elements of the crime in terms of the criminal law, because each and every crime has got elements. Then, honorable members and chairperson, we were also requested to show domestic violence. That is the slide now that shows the domestic violence per districts. And the crimes are shown per murder, attempted murder, up to the burglary at residential premises. There are the figures there of murder, 164, attempted murder, 94, rape, if you can see, 516, which shows a little bit high, and also sexual assault is 48. That is now the crimes that are within the ambit of rape, including statutory rapes. Let's go to the next slide. We were also requested just to show how prevalent is domestic violence at this station that we are, that is now Cambridge Police Station. It shows that in 2024-25, there were 399 domestic violence cases. And in 2025-26, this current financial year that is ongoing, is 317 cases. Next slide. We were also requested to show the availability of sexual offenses kits. That is now for children. These kits are used to collect biological evidence from the crime scene. Is where we get DNA. And also some of them we put fetus after the child has, maybe there's abortion, and they are taken to the lab also for the issue of paternity testing. And also there are kits for blood. So the D7 is a kit that is used for children when a child has been sexually violated. And then DB is a buccal sample that is taken from the arrested person in terms of compliance with Schedule 8 DNA Act, in terms of all Schedule 8 offenses, where rape and also statutory rape is part of them. This is the number of the availability. And then D6 is for the fetus, where now there's an abortion. It's the kit that is used to keep or safe keep now the fetus when it is sent to the lab. And then also D2, is the blood kits when the blood is drawn, and also D1 is for the adults. Then we have victim-friendly rooms, because the victims will come to the police station. They must be treated separately with dignity so they must be taken to another room where there's no public, where there's privacy. So there are such rooms, and out of 200 police stations, we have 165 of those stations with victim-friendly rooms, where 35 doesn't have victim-friendly rooms. Can you move to the next slide? This is just a summary of what I've said. 200 stations, 165 with victim-friendly rooms, 35 without victim-friendly rooms. This slide is just the list of all the stations without victim-friendly rooms. Proceed to the next slide. So what happens with those stations without victim-friendly rooms and those with victim-friendly rooms? We are assisted a lot by the volunteers from social development. They are trained volunteers. They are available 24/7 to give psychosocial support to the victims at the VFRs. And also we have Tutuzela centers where we take the victims to, and this is one-stop service center with all the relevant services, that is like social workers, the police, forensic nurses in some hospitals, and also doctors that are now examining the victims. In respect of these stations without VFRs, if one might ask, what do you do now to deal with the victims? There are separate offices that are being used where there's no victim-friendly room for privacy. And also, there are EPAC homes that are being purchased for those stations that have got space to cater for victim-friendly rooms. It will come as I'm proceeding. Let's go to the next slide. We were also requested to show the overview of FCS units, which was re-established in 2010 after they were sent to stations. Next slide. Out of the 8 districts, each district have got more than 1 FCS units. We have in total 27 FCS units that are dealing with these cases of statutory rapes. Move to the next slide. So this is now the human resources in terms now of FCS. We have 379 Police Act, meaning that police members that are investigating cases and also supervising cases, and we have 69 that are supporting in terms of the support systems within the FCS units, with a total of 448 altogether, the members. Then, this is just now the breakdown of Cambridge Police Station, where we are, as we were requested to look at it. This is the visible policing and the staffing on the far right, 93% staffing, 90% in terms of the detective staffing, and 88% staffing of the support service, with a 91.28% staffing of Cambridge. Now, very important, honorable members, the slide of vehicles for FCS. FCS units, I was saying there's 27. We are supposed to be having 203 vehicles in terms of the fixed establishment, of which currently we've got 194 vehicles. And then out of the 194 vehicles, the age of that fleet, we've got 94 of them that are more than 350 kilometers. Taking into account now the terrain that they have to travel, knowing that each station is serving each unit is serving more than 1 station. Maybe the minimum could be 4 stations, the maximum could be 13 stations that is served by 1 unit. And then now what happens, those vehicles spend most of their time in the garages, although they are there on paper and they take more time in the garages. We have a shortage of 25 vehicles if you follow the fixed establishment. Next slide. There are funds, honorable members, that are additional to the normal budget that is given to FCS units, and also for fighting gender-based violence and resourcing FCS units. Those funds are for visible policing in terms of fighting gender-based violence and also to resource FCS units to conduct investigations. This financial year, we received 6,545,000 to supplement us in terms of fighting this fight. And for FCS and also for Ovisbol, the tools of trade are very important. That is now the vehicles. This is what we purchase, and also IT equipment, and also the furniture for victim-friendly rooms, so that the victims could feel welcomed in terms of the victim-friendly rooms. Then we have, the next slide, we have challenges. Why e-reporting is not happening. Honorable members, I was listening yesterday because I know myself standing here. I facilitated a way of cooperation between the departments to ensure that they report. I was at Sarah Batman sometime, where it was ourselves, we've got 3 units there, FCS units, and social development. And we were starting this thing to say each and every district must have this mechanism so that this Form 30-something they were talking about yesterday are being completed and reach the South African Police Service. The issue of collaboration is much bigger than we say. And I remember one stage saying, Office of the Premier must take a lead in terms of coordinating these departments, because some departments feel that they are bigger than the other departments. And unfortunately, I'm saying it, South African Police Service is always the child that is being chastised. And we are always being the child that starts all these things, talk to them, but cooperation is a challenge. As we are here and ourselves and NPA, because we as South African Police Service, we are the gateway of criminal justice system. We try and do our best. But since now in Sarah Batman, the person I was with left, everything fell. And then nothing happened. So that is that collaboration and cooperation that we are talking about. The victims, they do refuse to disclose the perpetrators. And you must know that these victims, they are already impregnated. And now, if the period is less than that is allowed by law to terminate the pregnancy will be terminated. But now, that fetus must be taken to the lab. And we have to wait for DNA for paternity testing. And even if you can say DNA, yes, there is improvement with the lab, but there's still backlog in the lab. Sorry, sir? 2 minutes.
Just giving you 2 more minutes to 3 because you are raising important things now.
The lab takes time, and also if birth has been given, not birth given, if now is beyond that time that pregnancy can be terminated, then we have to wait for the child to be born. It's another time that is stretching. Then when the child is born, then we can take now the buccal samples for the lab. Then somebody mentioned the issue of ukutwala and also people dependent on the perpetrators. And also there is understaffing and also the issue of the lack of resources. We know that also when the cases are not at court, we want DNA results from the lab. They delay, rather they give the results for the cases that are already at court and where the prosecutors will write the prioritization letters. But when now we need DNA results for cases under investigation to effect arrest, then is where we have that challenge. What is now to do? We're conducting ongoing awareness campaigns. At schools, we are there. At churches, we are there, integrated with other departments. And people, they know that they have to come forward, but still there is that challenge. We've got also trained FCS members. Always we identify people that have to be trained, they are trained, and also we've got dedicated courts and also the prosecutors that are also placed at the dedicated courts. Then the recommendation is cooperation. I think that is the most thing that is needed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think you gave us quite some food for thought as well. Without wasting any more time, then I'm going to call the MPA to come and present. Please, when you come forward, introduce yourself and which unit or section you are responsible for. Thank you very much. NPA. NPA, while you are busy putting yourselves together for the presentation, please, within your presentation, you have been with us from Gauteng, you have been us within the Eastern Cape. If you can also speak to some of the issues that have been raised, especially when it comes to the persecution rates and some of the cases that the MPA have taken decisions not to prosecute. Perhaps you'll give us an insight on what some of those cases and the reasons why the NPA had to come to a resolution to not persecute these perpetrators of sexual offense, especially those that are related to statutory rape. Are we ready? I'm going to then hand over to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee.
Sorry, I also want to make mention that yesterday we were told that the National Prosecuting Authority wanted an opportunity to provide some answers to the discussion we had on that side. And unfortunately, you were not able to because somebody else gave answers. So I think we will allow for an extra 5 minutes. We'll allow some extra time so that you can provide those answers you wanted to give yesterday, if that's fine. Okay. So the answers we didn't get yesterday that you wanted to provide, you can provide. Thank you. Thank you, Co-Chair.
Thank you very much. Is the MPA ready now? Still sorting themselves out.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. Let me reintroduce myself once more. I'm Vuyokazi Xadisa. I'm the Chief Prosecutor in the National Prosecuting Authority. I'm standing here to make the presentation on behalf of NPA. Just to make one comment before I present, Chair. The presentation that I'm going to be presenting does not have the numbers of the cases that were withdrawn, as you will see as I'm presenting, because our focus was only on our conviction rate, the successes that we've made. However, that information with regard to cases that were withdrawn, the reasons thereof, that information is available. It can be made available after this session. However, it's something that we need to go and look at now because it's not something that can easily be accessed like we're standing here. However, we will be able to answer to any questions relating to reasons, of which they vary from case to case. It would be difficult to just say one blanket reasons for not enrolling cases, one blanket reason for withdrawing charges. Thank you very much. Can proceed. Briefly, NPA, as mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, its responsibility is to institute proceedings on behalf of the state. In fulfilling its mandate, oh Jesus Christ. In fulfilling its mandate, the NPA plays a pivotal role in addressing cases of gender-based violence, including offenses such as statutory rape, which is our main focus today. Also, combating GBV remains a key for the NPA. Guided by a victim-centered approach that seeks to protect the rights and the dignity of the victims while ensuring accountability for perpetrators. Legislative framework, go down, sorry. The next slide. Legislative framework, we have all spoken about it. Just now, Brigadier has mentioned one of you. We have Criminal Law Amendment Act, Children's Act, Child Justice Act, the National Instructions and Directive on Sexual Offences, the National Policy Framework on Management of Sexual Offences. These are very key legislative pieces, which also, as a prosecutor, we will never act outside the ambit of the legislation. That is why when we put them here, this is just not limited to this because every case as it presented to court, it presents so many things. But for purposes of this presentation, these are the main focus of the legislations that are mostly relevant to the topic of today, which is sexual offenses. Legislative framework, as I spoken earlier on, is that, statutory rape is criminalized in terms of Section 15 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act. Further, statutory rape refers to consensual intercourse of a child who is between the age of 12 and 16. Although such acts appear to be consensual, the law deems children in this age group legally incapable of giving valid consent to sexual intercourse. Colleagues, you will see as I'm going to be presenting further down, I will try and elaborate further as to, the impediments and the challenges that we face when coming to prosecution of these cases. Furthermore, children under the age of 12 years are considered incapable of consenting to any sexual act. Therefore, any sexual activity with children of that age or under age of 12 constitute rape or sexual assault, depending on the circumstances, regardless of the alleged consent. Even if you say she has consented, she lacks completely the right to give such consent. Section 54, we spoke about it, and I think Brigadier mentioned earlier on that this is mostly one of the areas where we find that people, they still need to be educated more on it, because people, they seem not to understand their duty to report to certain categories of people that have the duty to report when a child or if there's a victim of a sexual assault, and the consequences of failure to report. That is the area that we need to mostly to focus on to educate our communities. And also the Children's Act also put in the duty to report on certain designated people. Go down, Pluto. Statistics shows that within the division as the Eastern Cape, mostly we focus on section 15, that is rape, and sexual assault, that is section 16. As you can see there, but this is now the countrywide statistics, but for the division, which is the first one, Eastern Cape Division, our conviction rate on section 15 is 90%, 90.4%, which actually exceeds the set target in terms of our targets of 74. Same with sexual assaults, section 16. We have conviction rate of 81%. Move, colleague. Thank you. Okay. This is now the number of outstanding cases on our court roll. This is now the national statistics of the number of cases, not for the division per se. In terms of rape and sexual assault, cases of rape in the regional court, section 15, there are 323 outstanding cases of section 15 in the regional court. That is, those cases have already started a trial, because once we are in the regional court, trial has already started, meaning now these are part-head matters in the regional court. District court, these are cases that are at the initial stages, that is your section 15. There are 248. If you were to look into this, depending on how quick and swift our investigation, the 248 in the district court might find itself in the regional court tomorrow, if all investigation were to be finalized within a short space of time. Same with section 16 below that. In the regional court, we are sitting with 138, with 30 in the district court. Thank you. Proceed. Okay. There are some challenges and key issues that actually impedes the performance of, or maybe the finalization of these cases, or whatever that, the challenges that we come across in terms of making sure that these cases are finalized speedily, and also what actually impedes or mandatory reporting from all spheres. In most cases, you find that the non-compliance with the mandatory reporting is a problem that we are facing even today. Most cases of statutory rape are unreported, especially when a perpetrator is a family member, as someone that is well known to the victim. This information we become aware of as prosecutors during your consultation with the victim. When you remember, we're talking about withdrawals here. When a person comes forward and not wanting to proceed with a case, it's only then that you interrogate the matter to find out what are the reasons for this person not wanting to report or not wanting to proceed with the case. If a perpetrator is a child, a family wants to mediate, or also because there's also issues that involve compensation, because the family, if they receive a compensation for the child that has been violated, they will always try and convince the child not to proceed with the matter. And a child is a child at home. A victim often fears stigma, disbelief by family and also the community, or retaliation from family and community members. Often the victims refuse to cooperate because they believe they are in a relationship, which is mostly with statutory rape, because these children, they believe they can consent, they have given a consent to the perpetrator, and therefore they're in a relationship. However, the law does not make it legal for the child who is under the age of 16 to consent in sexual relationship. In many instances, parents, guardians do not open cases because of financial dependence on the perpetrator. This borders on the issues of poverty that I think we all know that most of our communities, they depend on the perpetrators as breadwinners in the household. We spoke earlier on that most perpetrators are people that are well known to the families. Cultural attitudes that normalize and excuse sexual relations with minors. You spoke earlier on, Chairperson, to say mostly in the province we have a prevalence of cases of ukutwala, that is now those cultural attitudes that normalize having children at a young age to engage in sexual relations, or else believe that they should be getting married for them to be recognized. There are also barriers to mandatory reporting. I did speak about that because I think to be reputation, the fear of reprisal and social stigma, not knowing and misunderstanding the legal duty to report. That is where now the gap comes in, that there's a gap in terms of educating our communities for them to understand their legal duty to report. The perceived conflict between confidentiality and legal obligation. Also, limited enforcement of non-reporting penalties. Measures to address these challenges that I've spoken about earlier, that is to ensure that appropriate victim management through our Tutuzela care centers. We spoke a lot about Tutuzela care centers, which is integrated victim-centered model. We all know, I think yesterday you visited Tutuzela care centers, colleagues, everyone spoke about Tutuzela, and I want to stress that Tutuzela being our baby, we actually have the support of the service providers that provide the services to the victims, and as a one-centered model, and it's doing a lot for our victims. Also, increase public education and community awareness campaigns to ensure and encourage prevention. Also to empower our communities through knowledge, and also to educate them on reporting these cases so that we can have a better understanding with the communities on the reasons why they need to be reporting these cases, and also the importance of protecting the victims as well. To also ensure dedicated sexual offences court with trained personnel to ensure that victims are properly managed and ensure successful prosecution. Colleagues, Brigadier earlier on spoke about dedicated sexual offences court. We do have dedicated sexual offences courts, but it's not a lot in the province. And I was just reading yesterday, there's a gazette that is only gazetted about 6 of them. But if you look, it's just, it's just a tip of the iceberg, because looking at the scourge of sexual offenses in our province, you need to have more. And also to capacitate those courts with trained personnel from all the stakeholders that manage those courts. Increase stakeholder partnership to ensure integrated management through GBVF structures and pooling of resources towards the GBVF structures. When we talk of victim-centered approach, what are we talking about? NPA has embedded its victim-centered approach in prosecution of GBV through introduction of TCC model. Without the TCC model, I don't think we'd have achieved a lot, because the success of most of our cases, as I read every day on our success and finalization cases of sexual assault, without TCC and providing the service, we would have missed a lot in terms of getting the victims to come forward and also to be supported when going to court. These are NPA-managed court directed facilities aimed at providing the most comprehensive GBV services, which is your psychosocial, your medical, and prosecutorial services, a one-stop shop. We spoke about it. Most people, they spoke about TCS being the one-stop shop. It is indeed correct, and they produce positive outcomes. They operate across the 3 pillars. These 3 pillars, for colleagues, in terms of NSP on gender-based violence, are prevention. When we talk prevention, meaning that NPA has introduced the concept of community prosecution, which goes out for public awarenesses in line with the TCCs as well as other internal stakeholders within the NPA to educate communities, and also on focusing on GBV, sexual offenses and legislation, and the rights of the victims. Also, the support that is provided is through the TCCs, and survivors receive GBV services through our TCCs. In response to that, as one of the NSP pillars, prosecuting guided investigation, which also helps to fast track the investigation, also helps to ensure that cases, they run speedily, although we have some challenges in between. But a prosecuting guided investigation has yielded positive outcomes in effective prosecution of these cases. Also, just to mention, here in the nationally we have 66 TCCs, but in the province we have 11 of them. Also, how we manage to successfully run with these cases is through stakeholder partnership. The key effective stakeholders that we work with, it's SAPS, Department of Health and Social Development. And access to services are also enhanced through referral pathways from key departments as mentioned above. Without them referring these cases and making sure that these cases are reported on time, although there's no prescription for cases of sexual assault. However, with the support and collaboration with the key departments, I think we are actually making inroads in terms of successful prosecution. Recommendations that we're making are going forward in order to ensure that we achieve the main objective of successful prosecution of these cases of sexual assault and also all cases that are within the scope of the Sexual Offences Act. The policy and law reform.
Please
in
note,
order, 2 minutes.
Please note that we are giving you 3 additional minutes.
Thank you.
Time is actually...
I'll try and be quick, I'm getting there. Okay, policy and reform is also to strengthen enforcement of mandatory reporting provisions, to streamline case enrollment procedures, service delivery. It's through the expansion, we expand on our Tutuzela care centers. As I mentioned that we only have 11 in the province. I think we can expand. There is actually a space where we can actually have more than that because there is a need. Improve victim support mechanism, which will also be helped through the Tutuzela care centers. The training and capacity building, that is now on training on specialized prosecutors, community education on rights and reporting. As I mentioned earlier on, NPA has actually started an initiative through community prosecution to educate communities. Resources also to prioritize funding for victim services. Move, colleague. In conclusion, NPA is committed to ensuring justice for victims of statutory rape. Strengthening collaboration, resources, and training remains essential because every case is different from the one that I dealt with yesterday. The protection of children is a constitutional imperative and a moral duty. Also, every report that matters, every child counts. Thank you very much. That will be all.
Thank you to the NPA. I see one of you again rising. Or you want to deal with yesterday's? That is fine. We are now giving you 5 minutes for that purpose.
Thank you so much. Hey, my name is Mzokolo. My surname is Hus. Well, yeah, to respond to yesterday's issue, in fact, to add up on this one first, as NPA, we do have within soccer unit in Tutuzelas, we do have this teenage pregnancy protocol. The teenage pregnancy protocol goes in this way. We have an understanding with hospitals that whenever there is a child who's at maternity and that child is there to terminate pregnancy or to deliver, they must inform the Tutuzela. Actually, they must bring the child to Tutuzela after all they have done all their services. So we have that teenage pregnancy protocol. We also have, now Brigadier stated also about DV. We also have DV protocol that when doctors are treating at casualty, are treating the patients. And if they found that that is a DV-related matter, they must then refer them to Tutuzela for psychosocial services. And also in police stations, we do have those DV protocols and in courts, because there's a gap now. Someone goes to court to apply for protection order, and that person, after applying for protection order, what they do, they go home without having any psychosocial services. So we have this agreement in this protocol that they must be referred to Tutuzela for psychosocial, just for psychosocial, those they need psychosocial. Thank you. Then yesterday, most of the departments that came here on stand, they spoke of response, care, and healing. None of them did actually speak on prevention. How do we get to prevention? How do we protect the children? Avoid this from happening from the grassroots. Our challenges is psychosocial, is social context. If we go to social context, the way people are living, that's where the challenges are. Poverty goes a long way. If we define statutory rape, those people are in love, but one is older than the other one. They are in love. Yeah, then the one is in the consenting age, the other one is not in the consenting stage, but they are in love. It's not that one has been forced. Then those guys or ladies that have means, they're the one who are the perpetrators because they manipulate the young ones. And they give them gifts, they give them all sorts of things. To get them and cooperate, it's a challenge. Most of the cases, if not all, when it comes to statutory rape, complainants are not the victims. Complainants is a third party. Complainant is the mother of the parents or someone who's have got interest in the well-being. So to get to the complainant to cooperate is a big challenge that we have. But what we're doing in terms of prevention and to respond to the NSP, to do zealous with other stakeholders, they've got a mandate, to go and do the public awareness, public education. At least a month, all these 11 tutuzelas we are having, they do around about 45 public awarenesses a month. We go to schools. Some schools, they allow us, some they don't allow us. But we do go to schools, we do go to public spaces, and then we do go to Ingosi and all the stuff. Yeah, okay. To move on, Department of Education, I think the MEC stated that yesterday that they will dismiss a teacher here, and that teacher will mushroom somewhere in another school, employed in another school, whereas the teacher has been dismissed here for sexual-related matter. Then it shows that then when someone is dismissed or found guilty, or in a commission of an offense, in a commission of inquiry, if the person has been dismissed, his name is supposed to be in the register for sex offenders, even if someone is dismissed at disciplinary hearing. And then that means then if that person is employed somewhere after being dismissed, that means then the new school didn't check if his name is in the a national register for sex offenders, which is a gap that they should do it. And then the other thing is, with Department of Education doesn't have a database of children who have dropped out from school. And had they have that database that so-and-so is no longer coming to school, then DSD should follow up on that and see if that child who dropped out from school is not a child in need of care and protection. Why is it happening? We want it to happen. We, in one of the districts where I come from, Kanyakude, we did implement that. When these children, most of the children are being victimized at home because that is where they spend a lot of time. Their uncles, their father, and all. When the child got pregnant, they pulled the child out from school. Then we don't follow up. DSD doesn't follow up. Education doesn't follow up on that child. Why is no longer at school, so that they can find out that the child is pregnant. I think something that we need. And in most of those cases, you find out some of them. In most of those, you find out the child deliver at home. There are those cases that some children deliver at home, and then that child is not registered and all. And also, DSD doesn't have a database of people who are born with disability. If they do have, they don't do home visits and see if those people who are born with disability, physical disability and mental disability, if they are taken care of. Because some of them are being victimized, got pregnant, deliver at home. I'm about to finish, sir.
Let's give you a minute to wrap up.
Okay. One other challenge we are having then, DSD do contract NGOs. But our challenge with NGOs, as Mas Manyane did explain yesterday, that they are pulling out of the Tutuzela in end of November. Our challenge is consistency. What will happen then to those victims that they were counseling throughout? This consistency. We need consistency in that. One more thing, the final one then, this one. The issue of bail. The issue of bail yesterday was mentioned. No, someone spoke of police bail and that prosecutor can give bail after hours. No, it's no longer happening. The Criminal Law Amendment Act, which came into operation, we cannot give anything which is a police bail in police station in gender-related matters. A bail is supposed to be granted in court, only in court. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
I was told, I think that you have represented everyone in your response. Is there any other person that needed to respond, Chair? Okay, I'm worried that he ate 2 minutes of your time. So please don't be long. I garner that, no, as you walk, it's fine. I garner that one of our biggest problems is lack of coordination amongst all the stakeholders. All of you have responses or solutions to problems, but we are not speaking to each other. So let's say in 4 minutes will be enough for you. No?
Too much.
It's too much. Good. It's a maximum.
Greetings to everyone. Generally, you are acknowledged, protocol observed. I just wanted to make some housekeeping, and this is coming from when we started in Gauteng. I wanted to clarify the issue of the DNA. Otherwise, I would have not made justice for my divisional commissioner who deployed me here, as well as my component head. So just to clarify, we started a relationship when we saw the gap, that there is an outcry regarding the DNAs. We embark in doing a fault finding to establish where could the problem be as the lab was progressing. Yes, we used to have a problem, 2021, 2022, which were hit by COVID and other financial constraints, but that is history. First things first, maybe let me also emphasize and remind my colleagues, in Gqeberha, we have a lab. Please, let's use that facility for processing our cases to reduce the transportation of exhibits to Western Cape. It is well capacitated, it does everything. Let's get to the point of what we are here about. Maybe let me also confirm the following. The lab, it has finalized a good number of cases that are murder and rape in this financial year. The breakdown, last year we were not recording it, but we started to record it because we still saw that there is an outcry about the DNA. So we wanted to sort of introspect ourselves. Where are we going wrong? So in this financial year, we have already finalized 22,449. These are reports already deposited in our SAPS systems where our detectives, they have access to retrieve and utilize those records for further investigation. And this is murder and rape only. That is finalized. So maybe just quickly jumping into what we have given the Eastern Cape in specific. Eastern Cape already under GBVF, without prioritization with anyone, the lab working on its own pace. Remember, we work on a first in, first out approach. The lab already in this financial year, these 2 quarters, have issued 479 reports that are covering both rape and murder. Now, this information, it's verified between the lab, it's loaded on the system, and it's confirmed by NPA. There is a representative, a senior advocate, Skeper, who is coordinating and gathering the stats for us that is affecting GBVF. So this is confirmed and validated. So I just wanted to clear out that because it has been going on since last week, and then I will be just dismissed when I get to the office. Thank you.
Basically, you were saving your job. That's fine. Thanks, your job is saved. Let me give to Honorable Miken Chauke.
Thank you very much to my co-chairperson, and thank you very much for the presentations that were given to us. So we have received those 2 presentations, which were the formal presentations that were put before us in our agenda. What I am going to ask us to do, and through my honorable members and my honorable co-chairpersons as well, is that we usually ask for honorable members to make their inputs, recommendations, and to pose questions to the presenters. What I'm going to ask us to start with is perhaps identify if there are stakeholders such as NGOs that have joined us, if we can give them an opportunity of 2 minutes to pose their input and questions, and then that process will then be followed by members of the portfolio committees who will then engage with the presentations that are before us. So I'm going to ask my co-host to assist me with identifying if we have stakeholders who would like to pose any inputs or questions to the presentations before us with an allocation of just 2 minutes. If you can do that, introduce yourself and the organization that you are representing. Honorable Tiamo, if you can help me. Are there any organizations? You can raise your hand.
Okay, there is one.
Can we get them a mic?
Good morning. My name is Mvuzo Somhlasho, and I'm representing the Basil Somhlasho Foundation, which is an NGO that is registered under Social Development for Victim Empowerment Program. I wanted to ask what is the way forward or the pipeline plan with regards to victims that cases have reported the cases and there is not been enough investigation on their behalf, and the case is now at a dead end or I don't know, stalemate, if there's the correct word to use. And the victim is now at that, I don't know what to do anymore, but the victim is still jeopardized because the perpetrator is still in the vicinity and they still see each other, and the case has not gone forward. So is there a plan in such? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other interested members who would like to ask a question, make a comment, and or perhaps even highlight something that we should be brought to our attention? No more? No hands. Okay, then I'm going to then hand over to my co-chairperson to then lead the process with the honorable members. Thank you very much. I'm handing over to the chairperson of the portfolio committee.
Thank you very much, co-chairpersons. I want to just take the opportunity to thank you very much for your presentations this morning. You know, I'm really stuck on this issue of the lack of coordination, because it becomes a question then, who must coordinate you? Because you are government and you must lead this fight. And Parliament comes and everyone is telling us there's a lack of coordination. But I really do want to ask the question, we can go back to Parliament and make no more laws, but it's not going to help you coordinate yourself. So really, I want to then ask the question, I heard, for example, sir, you saying the Form 22s that social development does must come to you. You don't get to see those Form 22s. But you see, then really my question, I heard you saying you will want to reach out to the office of the Premier. But for me, we're staring a crisis in the face if none of you are working together. There's Form 22s being produced on the one side by social development, it doesn't get to police, and we're sitting here in the middle and Parliament is here and all we hear is we're not working together. And the question really becomes, because if you're looking at the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, we heard in Johannesburg one organization saying there should now be a National Strategic Plan on child abuse. But you see, it's again a plan that will not be implemented. And so really, I just want to hear from you, who do you think should coordinate you? Is there nobody that can take the lead by saying, here, I'm the person that heads up police, I'm going to speak to my counterpart of social development, I'm going to speak to my counterpart of MPA at basic education, and we form a task team because we're facing a crisis. Our children are falling through the gaps and we are saying, we cannot coordinate ourselves. Can we not come together and form some type of team that will work together? Because you see, we can go back to Parliament and we can say, let's amend laws, but more laws won't help us because the plans are already there. So really, I feel so despondent if we say that that is one of our biggest, because we've heard it throughout these sessions. And so really, I just want to say, is there nothing we can put on the table to say, going forward, somebody will take the lead because our children are suffering? And so, yeah, it leads me really to be very despondent. But I think two other things to say is, so if you're really saying that basic education is not monitoring children who are dropping out, then that is also a crisis on its own. And we will have to go back and speak to the Minister of Basic Education and ask her why there's no tracking mechanism when children drop out, and to follow up with social workers. I also think the issue of resources, your vehicles, police vehicles, that will also have to be a recommendation. Because at this stage, you are our foot soldiers, but you are stuck because you don't have vehicles. Your vehicles are in the workshops. And so I think we also need to look at a recommendation in that regard. And lastly, I just want to ask the NPA about the conviction rate, because when you look at the slides, it says you're doing very well in terms of your, what is it, S15 conviction rate. It says 80%, 90%, 70%. But in Johannesburg, it says you've got an 84.2% conviction rate. But when we engage with Teddy Bear Clinic, they said it's only 4%. So I just wanted clarity in that regard. Thank you. Thank you, Co-Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm then going to hand over to my co-chair, who will then give members of the portfolio committees an opportunity to then engage with the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, honorable members, we are now going to engage with the reports that have been presented. What we are going to do, Mr. Novab, I will request that you start that side. Mr. Novab, I request that you start that side. Honorable members that are that side, you give mic to. In 3 minutes, they make their input. If a member doesn't have anything to say or is covered, can just pass the mic over to the next member that is available. So that side, I can see that we do have, yes.
Thank you so much, Slalo. Greetings once again. Ngegama ngunaledi Chirwampungose from the EFF. Thank you so much to the SAPS and the NPA for their presentations. My questions are as follows. We want to find out the reasons behind the 11 cases being withdrawn. We raise a concern on the 33 cases and then the 11 being withdrawn. And secondly, we also want to find out with the 6 million that you speak of, what tools of trade were purchased by the province. And we just want to add, we primarily think as the EFF that training yamapoisa is short somewhere in regards to raising a tough and a resolved spirit for patriotism in regards to protecting the people and the country and not pledging allegiance to politicians. And this is no longer an opinion. We've got the ad hoc committee, we've got the Madlanga Commission. It's now something that has come up in the air, but our police are not loyal to the people of this country. They are loyal to rich people, people with money, influential people in communities. They are loyal to Igora over the kids. And I think we would have loved or appreciated if the SAPS would tell us why they turn back people when they come to their police stations. You didn't say in your presentation. And we're noting this insistence to keep pointing fingers at the other people, but not speaking about what the challenge is internally. Tell us why you guys turn back people at the police stations. Tell us why you tell victims that their cases are not strong enough before they even make it to court. We want to know what are the reasons that our people, because you say the issue is reporting. And then you come back and you say the issue is that there's lack of trust in the system, but that comes from somewhere. And I think even some of us in this room have a story to tell regarding the police. I opened a case after I was verbally assaulted by a staff member of parliament over the phone. So there was a chance for the police to retrieve or for the detectives to go and find out if that was the case. But the case I withdraw. Why are your detectives untrained adequately to pursue cases until a resolution, until justice is made? And I think, furthermore, we see that there is a need for paralegal clerks. We don't know what the current status is. Maybe you could appraise us on that to ensure that AMA statements are permissible in court. Perhaps you can answer that question on what the issue is in the paralegal clerk aspect. And before ngivala sihlalo ngiyaxolisa indaba ye-IPD being used as a political tool, maybe ACPS should tell us more on the reality of that. Ukuthi mhlambe nijikisa abantu, because if you deal with certain cases that have certain ties up there at the top, then maybe IPD is utilized as a political tool.
Your 3 minutes is...
It has expired.
Yes, it has.
I thank you.
Thank you. Can you assist us to move the mic to another honorable member?
Thank you, Slalo.
Sihlalo, my name is Kukuletu Mchono. Kukhona le yokuthi kukhona ama-Thuthuzela care centers awu 66 nationally. Ngiyafisa ukwazi ukuthi ey'ndaweni ey'semakhaya ukuthi lama-Thuthuzela akhona yini ngoba ingane ezisengcupheni enkulu kakhulu isemakhaya ngoba insiza azikho emaduzane kwabo and okunye ukuthi even ama police stations awekho uthola ukuthi kuhanjwa ibanga elide kiwa police station kukhona nabantwana abaphila nokukhubazeka la abantu ababa rapeayo uthola ukuthi lo mntwana it's a problem ukumsusa ekhaya umusa e-station ngoba ne-station sikude kakhulu ngiyafisa ukwazi ukuthi lapha emakhaya ikhona yini indlela yokuthi labo Thuthuzela nama police station ukuthi asondele eduze kwabantu enye into engiphatha kabi ile ndaba yezimoto ngoba sengiyibone kakhulu even endaweni engihlala kuyona ngike ngareporta icase yomfana wangena efuna in fact wacishe wadlwengula ingane ekhubazekile wabonwa omakhelwane evula isicapha ngendluzula wangena phakathi omakhelwane bamfica ekhumula iblue eqaqa ibhande mase kuyovulwa icase kwathiwa ayikho ngoba akadlwenguliwe kusho ukuthi fanele kulinde ukuthi umuntu azadlwengula isekho nento eyenziwayo nje kuyena iyavuleka icase kwayiwa i-court yafika yayichitha ukuthi kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi kufanele kuze kulinde umuntu uqala aza amrape ayikho nje enye indlela ongase kuthiwe leli cala yelani ngoba kwathiwa ngoba nje akarapanga akangenanga kuyena so alikho icala so I don't understand ukuthi why and leyo case iyathatha 2 days kuthiwa imoto ayikho police station only to find uma ngabe mina ngiyahamba ke endaweni ubona imoto yephoyisi ipake kwalo ukuthi wena no uphuma emsebenzini wathatha imoto wahamba waye ekhaya kodwa imoto is needed e-station ukuthi lonto yenzeka kanjani kungenzekani ukuthi amaphoyisa washiya imoto e-station ahambe ngemoto zawo emakhaya ngoba inkinga lezi zokuthi njalo kuthiwe ayikho imoto bagwazana abantu benzana izinto ayikho imoto why kwenzeka kanjalo lokuthi kuyoba yinini ukuthi la khona kuzothiwa zikhona imoto kanti ibudget ime kanjani ekutheni akugcwaliswe imoto zonke lezi ukuze sikwazi ukusizakala ngoba inhloso yamaphoyisa emphakathini is to assist abantu emphakathini not ukuthi balobe chitha abantu bebabuyisele emuva bethi azikho imoto akukho ukuthi so ke ngibona ngiphatheka kakhulu ukuthi namhlanje iminyaka neminyaka kukhulunywa indaba zeimoto thank you.
Yabonga, you have done exactly 3 minutes. Can you move to another? I'm keeping my time. I'm fair to all of you. I'm keeping my time.
Dabulela Sihlalo, ngifeza kambiko okwami kuncinci nje. Nani ni complainile apha of staff shortage. Nami ngizibonele outside. It's an embarrassment and disgrace that this police station doesn't have working toilets. Toilets outside have no water. There have been members who have been outside to use the toilet facilities. There's no water. I've asked the ladies outside to organize some buckets, some content and put water inside the buckets and put them next to the toilets so that people can do that manual work and help themselves. But the police station didn't see that fit, at least to organize that facility outside there. Why? Because you guys were complaining of staff shortage. I've asked the ladies outside, they say there are only 3 workers outside there. They are cleaning offices, they are cleaning cells, they are cleaning the outside grounds. That's an embarrassment and a disgrace. Xa ngidlula ke lapho ndingatsho nje ukuthi ndiyibonile report nami ngiyazi ndiyeva ukuthi ndicelisa nje ukuthi ingase nje ama NPA baqiniseke ngephua kukhona iphua public awareness outside there sicela nihambe nobafundisa nibaxele nasezilalini lokho nikwenzayo rural villages they know nothing about what the NPA is supposed to do. Can you please when you go and educate those people outside there, and also the is in prosecuting. Kuyabonakala ukuthi there is also a weak coordination between the ANPA and SAPS. Okokugqibela nje, kukhona inadequate victim and witness support. Siyacela ukuthi uqiniswe kwelo cala. Thank you.
Thank you, Mampigo. You have saved a minute. And that minute is a discretion.
Thanks for the extra minute.
It's a discretion of the chair as to what is going to happen. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you for the presentations. My questions are, we hear of victim-friendly rooms, but my simple question is, do we have victim-friendly officers at the stations? Because people are not seen by the room. They're seen by people. There's the issue of the definitions, and I guess maybe the legal scholars will help us with this issue about a girl child can give consent to terminate at 12, but can't give consent to getting pregnant at 12, and how we deal with that incongruence. And when you take the definition of statutory rape, as has been explained, of consensual sexual penetration between children 12 to 16, or of children 12 to 16, is the incidence of statutory rape underreported? What numbers should it be? When you have the sexual activity, isn't half the school in high schools involved in statutory rape? And how do we deal with that? And how do we educate around those issues? Because when you look at the numbers that have been presented over the last few days, and the fact that we are a 64 million odd population, it shouldn't be a crisis that we're dealing with. So unless we are given information about the massive underreporting, we really think that the problem is not as big as it is. And just a suggestion from how do we get families and the security clusters engaged in conversations? DSD, education, SAPS, because this is a problem that happens in families. But we're not engaging families. We're coming after the fact. We're coming to police. We're not creating partnerships so that we can have greater success. And I've heard ad nauseum about the issue of financial benefits. So I have some suggestions that I will make to Parliament about looking at a reparation system so that the financial benefits should come from successful prosecutions and should come from the law, not as a bribe from an offender.
Honorable Letlape, you have saved 20 seconds.
Ke a leboga our two chairpersons. Myself, I'm partially covered by my colleague. Now, I'm worried ngale ndaba withdrawal of cases. South African Police Services, you are no more South African Police Force. Please go down to the community, speak to the community. Nibe nama structure, the relevant structures, the hustling, akuthi nizokhuluma nama community. Ngoba le ndaba yama withdrawal, ama cases, I think it's too much. If you can check the numbers of today and the numbers of yesterday, I did tell you. Today they say it's 33, only 33 cases. So it means there is no communication, there is no, I don't know what's happening. But please, let's go to the community and speak to them. The chair, the question for clarity from my side is this one of, I hear the presenter from SAP says that their vehicles, they've got only, how many? 100 and, I've got the number. $194 only 194. But those 194, they're always in the garage. But I didn't hear the recommendation or the challenge. Why imoto ehlala isegarage kwenzakalani? Or maybe is this thing leba khuluma ngayo ukuthi always makureport ama case bathi imoto ayikho. Let's hear the recommendation or the challenge ukuthi why imoto always in the garage. That's only my comment, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tulwani. You can go ahead, Honorable Member. Yeah, you can stand if you want to.
Thank you so much, Chi. Greetings, everybody. As introduced earlier on, I'm Jasmine Peterson. Chi, I think for those past days, we've heard stats, we've heard NPA, we've heard SEPs, we've heard NGOs, we've heard so many things. Enough for me as a young person in this country to say that I think the problem is bigger than what we think it is. But still nothing is being done because we continue to pass the buck. There's always someone else that's responsible for something. We've heard about Form 22, Form 23, the bail sections 58, 59, and 60. But when are we going to be honest about or also speak about the law that says, the law that requires any adult to report sexual assault or abuse of minors found in the criminal law of sexual offenses. This is amended Act 32 of 2007. We've also heard during our sessions that people go to the police stations to report, and then they are being turned back saying that you must come back with the children's parents. Most of the cases are that girls are being raped by their fathers. How do I come back with my parents? So if you look at the stats, and it's high as it is, and we consider the cases of being turned back because you must come with your parents, what do the stats actually look like? So as a young person today, and for the past few days, I don't know how I feel. But what I know is we cannot continue to put the responsibility on every other person but ourselves. As SEPs, we know that we don't have social workers, but as SEPs, if there's a law that says any adult can come and report some sexual offense cases, why are they being turned back? Thank you.
Member, can we proceed to the next?
Bekufanele sibe exempted thina sibadala kusukuma. Kodwa I heard ukuthi for a respect one must stand. Ngiyabonga osihlalo abayi2. All that I can say ukuthi sisengxakini kahlehle. The report that we got here, and not even here alone, even yesterday, akhomba ukuthi sisengxakini. Angikwazi noma kubizwa i-management ego or i-political ego or i-power ego. Ilento le ephethe bantu laba phethe kuwo wonke lama department. I must say that because I mean from all the presentation, you guys who work in isolation. It's that we received yesterday and today doesn't talk to the one of yesterday and today. It's like a Skweni province. What do you call this? Power ego. Yokuthi ngeke mina ngize ngiphathe omunye ngeke no one will lead me. No one, I don't know why are we getting this? Let me say bahlonishwa bami. It doesn't make you look good. Ngoba ufinger point ukuthi sorry and so that department is not doing its job. We are managers in your own right. What are you doing about it? Can't you humble yourself for the sake of our children? I'm just echoing the word of all the honorable members that have spoken. I'm sure you realize what Vele siphelelwa amandla, you don't know what to say. Because it's like we're dealing with subordinate, we're still going to hear from the seniors. Not you alone here, even the departments yesterday, the reports that we got, it's very disappointing. I've got a clarity seeking question, NPA. The good stat that you presented there is slide 6 with those higher percentage. The reason why this clarity seeking question from me is because you were very big on GBV. I just want to know if it's statutory rape stats or GBV in general. I just need that clarity because we are here mainly for statutory rape. It's okay to talk about GBV, but I just want a clarity on that stat on slide 6, the successes that we've made. Thank you, Chair.
We can go to the next.
Thank you very much, Chairpersons. Sanbonan, my name is Angel Kanyile, just to remind you. Engithanda ukukusho lana ukuthi, you know, when I was growing up, kunesisho behlala besisho la ngihlala khona ngishilo angisho ukuthi ngibuye eMpumalanga. Bekuthiwa it takes a village to raise a child. And people like myself, who was raised by a grandmother, it was through the intervention of the village that I became the woman that I am today. And it looks like we have lost that. And if I were to ask Guguti, who is the village today? We are the village, all of us. We are the village. And it is up to us to raise these kids that we are talking about. Coming back to the issue of coordination, I was largely covered by Honorable van der Merwe. It is very evident that there is no coordination amongst all the departments. I tried to do my research. I was informed that it is the Office of the Premier that is supposed to ensure there's coordination. But I think you also have a responsibility to reach out to the Office of the Premier and advise them that you are ready now to coordinate yourselves because you want to ensure that we address the issue of the scourge of statutory rape. One of the presenters here mentioned that, I think that was subs. Sometimes when the teachers are being employed or suspended or expelled from one school, they are employed in another school because that school is not going to look at the National Register for Sex Offenders. Who's supposed to provide that list? It is sitting with Department of Justice, and that department is here with us today. If you were collaborating with the Department of Education, you were going to ensure that that teacher does not go in another school because you have that register, you share it with the Department of Education. The laws are there, like Honorable van der Merwe has indicated. The problem, colleagues, is implementation. You are not implementing. And yesterday, in one of the presentations, there was a presenter by NPA that indicated that when they come to you after they have, it was an NGO, apologies, when they come to you with these little kids, when they want to open cases, you don't want to open cases. SAPS does not want to open cases. You ask them, where are the parents of this child? You ask them a lot of questions until they feel demotivated. That is why they end up not reporting. I just want to read a stats that I just took out now. The current stats of April to July 2025, it clearly states that 10 to 14-year-old kids have given birth to 117 children. And over and above that, 15 to 19 have given birth to 4,700. But the numbers that you are giving us, they're not comparable to what we are seeing here. Another presenter is saying, when we go to these children, they tell us that they are in love, they are in a relationship with these people. But the Children's Act 38 of 2005, section 110, subsection 1, it clearly states who's supposed to open the case. And over and above that, it clearly states that a child that is 16 years and below cannot consent. It is the law. Arrest that man. You cannot entertain that. How would you feel if that man was dating your child? Or it's okay because it's not your child? Can you please implement and do what we are supposed to do? And lastly, Chairperson, as I'm sitting down, I'd like to be finished with more details on the issues of Ugutwala. We had a meeting with the traditional leaders yesterday. They indicated that they're trying to fight the issue of Ugutwala and they see progress. In the report that you have given us, SAPS, there was nothing that was mentioned around issues of Ugutwala. And when you were talking about it here, you spoke on it in passing. I want to know numbers. How many cases were reported on issues of Ugutwala? How many people were arrested? And how many cases that were withdrawn by parents? I think that is what we're looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kanyile. I, through the discretion of the chair, I gave you a minute from Honorable Mbiko.
Oh, thank you. That's our minute.
So I gave you that minute. I'm going to, before you come in with responses, I'm going to give Honorable Chauke to make an input. Honorable Chauke to make an input, and then, okay, then she's requesting that I make my input first, and then she will make an input also. I just have a few issues. Now, the report of the Department of Health says that between April and September 2005, there's 117 young girls between the ages of 10 to 14 who gave birth in the province. That is per the report of the Department of Health. Now, the report of the SAPS says that it is only 33 cases that they are sitting with that relate to the statutory rape. What would have happened to the rest? Have you made follow-ups with the health department on who's supposed to register these cases, and what then becomes the status? Because it's public information for each one of us to see. And also, the question of the 11 declined cases, it's worrisome. One honorable member would have also spoken to it. But I want to understand what then becomes the attitude of the state as it relates to these cases. Is it just a question of, no, this 11 young girls are lying? Or is there any psychosocial support that is offered to these young girls as their cases are being withdrawn? I just want to understand the process over and above the fact that one honorable member have asked, what are the reasons for the decline of these cases? Also, to which extent do we take interest on what happens with the victims who stay with their perpetrators? Their social well-being over and above the intervention of the Tutuzela care centers, because I don't think that a person can be placed in those centers for a prolonged period. Do we have mechanisms of checking the status of those young girls that stays with their perpetrators? I think, let me pause there. Now, the NPA, before I pause, when we were dealing with the issue of Twetwe, we convened the NPA in the National, in the Portfolio Committee of Justice. And they gave us a story which doesn't link, because they say that in terms of their target, they have reached over 80%. 80% of conviction rate on matters of rape. Now, The report of the public protector, wherein she was investigating the systematic deficiencies on matters of that relate to gender-based violence, which speaks to the deficiencies in SAPS, in the NPA, say that out of the over 53,000 cases that are prevalent in the country, the NPA target is focused on just 4,000 of those. Now, this is the space of the entire country. I want to understand, since we have a problem of numbers that do not tally, how do you, from which numbers do you draw your target? The numbers of cases that have been put through the police, which the public protector says that it's 53,000 of them in the country, or numbers that you becomes a sum of after you have deducted your own numbers, as you would have deducted here in the province, wherein we see that 11 cases have been declined. What exactly do you measure this target against? So let me give Honorable Miken to make her input in that regard, and also proceed with presiding over the responses of the questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Without delaying, I think one of the things that I'm not getting from the presentations, and I just having an appreciation of the presentations that were before us, is really what are the deeply rooted challenges that are being faced by these entities or institutions on the ground. You look at the report that is given to us by the police service, and one would say, how have you then decentralized or desegregated your data for us to have an analysis of what is actually happening, not only across South Africa, but here in the Eastern Cape, which has recorded some of the highest rape charges, but also in terms of the teenage pregnancies that have been recorded coming from the Eastern Cape. Now, one would have an interest to say from not only the NPA, but also from SAPS, how many of those cases are there in the Eastern Cape? How many of them have been processed? How many of them have been withdrawn? What then happens when a case is withdrawn? When there is a case of sexual abuse, statutory rape that might take place, and I think one of my honorable members' colleagues indicated that we should not use our words very loosely to say they are in love. A 14-year-old cannot be in love to take a decision, conscious decision, to consent to sexual activity. It is pure exploitation. So we must be very cautious of the language that we also perpetuate, that start to normalize certain behaviors. So the question would be centered around what are the stats, the real stats of the Eastern Cape? What are the interventions that have been put in place? How do we seek to address this? But also, I think from both the presentations, it's from a legislative point of view. According to you, what are the challenges? Is there perhaps a disjuncture and a lack of synergy amongst the legislations that hinder your progress and your work? Is there a lack of cross-interdepartmental agency stakeholder collaboration, which we've heard that in the two provinces? But from your view, also the reporting system, is it effective enough that a case is opened at one police station or through a social worker or through the school, and what is the process that is then followed for it to then get to the point where it is at a point of having a case file and the going to court? Also, it's quite disheartening to see that there are cases that have been dropped. What has then been done with those cases that were then dropped when they got to court? Because my understanding is that when a case is already at that level, it means the person who opened the case is then, it's an act of perjury. How is it that you cannot take over as the state, take these cases over? So that's very important. But I think what, Chair, what we need to do, as you've indicated, we'll be coming back, we need to engage with grassroots organizations to really understand with what they are dealing with. Because I think from an overall perspective is that the police and the MPA and the different arms of state, they are going to give us statistics, and that's it. The people on the ground are the ones who have to deal, the NGOs are the ones who have to deal with these real issues. Also, I think the issues of our police stations not being adequately resourced and capacitated, lack of training, infrastructure that is dilapidating, that is not conducive, that needs to be looked into. And I think one of my honorable members mentioned just on this police station, we are requesting that there needs to be immediate intervention, that this must be a fully functional, well-equipped, well-resourced police station so that it can be efficient and effective as well. Lastly, the victim-friendly rooms, and I think Dr. Letlape mentioned this. Are police trained to be victim-friendly? What is the training that you are recommending? What are your proposals? And that's what I want to get from this. What are the true challenges and what do you then propose so that these can be part of the recommendations that we then look into, we adopt and we put forward in the National Assembly? With that said, thank you very much. We are then going to hand over to SAPS, and then after SAPS, we'll hand over to the MPA to respond perhaps to any questions and comments that have been made, and perhaps if there's any clarity that you can provide on some of the issues that have been raised by members. 5 minutes for responses. So SAPS, you've got your 5 minutes, and then NPA, you will have your 5 minutes. Can we get them the mic? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. The first question by Honorable Vuzo Somhlatlo, or the NGO. Case opened and stagnant, then the perpetrator is still in the vicinity. You know, we have a section called the Inspectorate that deals with e-complaints. And most especially the complaints of gender-based violence, we must finalize them within 7 days. Although nationally says 14 days, but at the province we say within 14 days. People can even walk, can phone, can do that. The complaints are registered, and then the necessary steps will be taken against such particular persons. So I urge if the Somhlatlo can just give me those details so that we follow up, because we do have that complaint desk. Issue of coordination, Chair. In terms of the departments, I've noted it. Yes, of course, we do what we can do in terms of engaging the different departments. I don't want to get deeper there because it's different levels. Then you will engage at your level. And then the same thing that I was talking about, OTP, or what is it now, Office of the Premier. I know there the director, Mr. Tafazo, who is there. We engage in terms of these things. So there is something that we are doing as the Department of SAPS. Then the vehicles in the garages, it is a challenge, that one. You will be told that there is no contract. They are using there's a lot in terms of some vehicles being outsourced to other private sectors and all that stuff. There is a lot. I even remember the previous minister promised to take this up. The issue of the garages is still a challenge. Then the issue of educating people. We've got a lack of social crime prevention within the South African Police Service, where we go and deal with other social issues, engage the other departments. That is their core responsibility to deal with such issues. We do that as South African Police Service. And then there was Naledi withdrawn cases. I think NPA said they're gonna go and check and reply in and respond in writing. Because we as subs, we send the cases for decision to NPA. And then NPA promised to come back with a decision. Then somebody asked about the 6 million, and then what are the tools of trade? I think I mentioned that the most ones are the vehicles, because we have to go from point A to point B to do the job. And also the VFR and also the IT equipment, because we have to capture information. But the most ones are the vehicles. There are also some campaigns that are being done in terms of now awareness campaigns, in terms of going to the people. Training of police, and then somebody mentioned that they are not loyal, there are complaints. So when the complaints comes, there is that inspectorate that deals with such complaint. And we must all remember, we're dealing with individuals. So we will respond to what is coming in terms of that particular individual. People that are being sent back at police stations, we are very strict in terms of that. If somebody is, there are even numbers. People are told there's a station commander's number, there's this number. Please phone while you are on the police station and say, I'm here at this police station, this is what is happening. And then we take steps against the particular members. People are being trained to be sensitive to the clients. Then there is also the issue of IPID. IPID. We don't have control as South African Police Service at the level, this level with IPID. So I cannot respond further there with the IPID cases. And then the Gugulethu Mchunu, Honorable Mchunu, Tuduzela are not everywhere. I remember I had to request as FCS in that question, but NPA will answer that one. And then also, police stations are not at rural areas. There is progress being done. There's a police station that is going to be open soon at Willowville there at Amatole district. So there is progress being done, taking into account the issue of the fiscus. So, but there are places that are being prioritized. We've got a priority list of the stations, places that must have these stations. So there is progress there. Then, okay, I'm not going to talk about first again because NPA will answer there. And then VFRs, you ask about whether the people are victim friendly. There is training, there are domestic violence coordinators, there are people that are trained on gender-based violence, on victim sensitivity program interventions. There are people, hence we say, if that particular person ill-treats, because we are dealing with human nature here, if the person ill-treats the victim or survivor, we need to be reported and they know what happens and they are being dealt strictly. And then the issue of under-reporting awareness campaigns, we will keep on doing awareness campaigns. We are doing awareness campaigns right through and we are monitoring that. The engagement with the families and the departments, that is something that we are doing. We even meet with the traditional leaders at the rural areas and we talk about these issues. Withdrawal of cases, as I said, when PA will deal with it. Honorable Peterson, the issue of the departments, this one saying this, yes, we will keep on working with the departments at our level. Then if we cannot get right, we escalate these issues and then we take it from there. Working isolation, I think that is repeated. There is also the issue of coordination. Okay, National Register, the history is now NPA who's gonna be answering to that, although the register is kept by Department of Justice, which is not here, because NPA is another section. Then, ukutwala, we've got what we call at the districts, what is called rapid response teams, where the departments, we've got people from the police, from other departments. When there is a call or a cry of a child that is being twala, we all combine the resources and we deal with that. So somebody asked now the stats about ukutwala. We will be looking for that and then we will send it in writing because it needs us now to go to the statistics. There's a stats that April to September 2025, a number of cases. Remember that what we presented here is from 24-25, which starts from April 2024 and ends March 2025. Automatically, there will be differences in terms of that. But yes, of course, as you mentioned, we have a duty as subs that you know that now there's a number of these cases to follow up what happened with them in terms of cases to be opened. Status of girls staying with perpetrators. We do give victim support. We do refer people to social development to engage and also ensure that the safety of the victims is taken care of. Then the last one for me will be the issue of challenges on the ground, then disaggregating the challenges, what happens when a case is withdrawn, Stats of the Eastern Cape, what do you do to prevent these issues, reporting system, police station not fully resourced, VFR, victim empowerment. We are working on those issues. We have our statisticians here that give us everything. If you want now information about disaggregation of the challenges, where they happen and all that stuff, yes, of course, that could be provided. Thank you, Chair.
Before you leave the podium, just a quick question. You spoke about the challenge with vehicles, and then you said there's a lot going on, and then you also made mention of vehicles being outsourced to private entities. Please, can we get some clarity on that?
You know, we've got garages here in the province, and we've got, correct me colleagues, we've got 2 main garages. Ne? It is in East London and also in Port Elizabeth. Then we have sub-garages, which means those sub-garages don't have what they call artisans. That is now the specializing people on the garages. So they can't repair other vehicles. So they give to other service providers that are private. So that is that outsourcing I'm talking about.
Final question. On the issue of mandatory reporting and compliance with the Children's Act, when you talk about training, is that the type of training that you also include for police officers?
When the 3 GBVs, these amendments, were introduced to us, training took place and it is still taking place on grassroots level. So the police are being trained in terms of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be calling MPA, but I think what we're going to do as a committee is we'll submit some questions in writing as well, because I think the question that was centered around what happens to victims after they've come and reported, it was very vague in terms of the response to say there's victim support. The question was what then happens to them. They are given to social development. What does SAP's responsibility, what is your responsibility in terms of ensuring that that victim is safe once they have to return home if they are living with the perpetrators? And I think that is a question that we really want to know. Then
there's another response from the head of police.
Okay, we've got the head of police who would like to make an input.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much.
Mine is just to apologize for the inconvenience which is caused about the water issue. It's a municipal issue that happened this morning, and we sincerely apologize, and no disrespect towards the committee or any participant regarding the water, but there is water. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I think the concern was not more of members of the committee, but more on members of the public. And that's where our greatest concern is. But thank you very much for that clarity. I'm then going to give an opportunity to MPA. I'm going to give you probably 6 minutes. If you can please be quite precise. If you're able to put the different questions together, cluster them, please do that. Thank you very much. MPA?
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I'll try to get to the 5 minutes that you've given me. Chair, briefly, quickly going to the question that was asked on the conviction rate that we have reported on, slide 6 of 80% and 90% conviction rate in comparison with what was given by an NGO. Just to explain how we come to our conviction rate, we're working with the cases that are on the court roll. If I have 20 cases on the court roll for this month, and I finalize 90% of my roll, that is how I count my conviction rate. However, I cannot be able to tell how the NGO work in terms of their numbers, their percentage in terms of the cases that they do or cases that they process in the system. So that is how we come about with our conviction rate. If you see the conviction rate that is there, and I also put on the slide the number of cases that are outstanding on our court roll based on the district court and also on our regional courts, which shows that our percentage in terms of conviction rate comes from the number of cases that we have sitting on our court rolls. That is how we come up. We have succeeded in terms of finalizing what is currently sitting on our court roll on the particular cycle, whether it's a financial year or a month, or that is how we come to. Secondly, there was a question in terms of coordination and between the stakeholders. I just want to reiterate and say that it is indeed correct that for us to be able to fight this crime that is on the children and vulnerable groups, we need coordination. And I want to confirm that there is a coordination, whether it's at the level that we want it to be, or it at the level that it's not actually getting the results that we want at the end of the day. I want to say this because we do coordinate as stakeholders within the justice cluster. There is coordination. We work hand in glove with police. We work hand in glove with the departments, like I said earlier on, your DSD, because we depend on them. In most cases, there is nothing that we can do without SAPS. And also we do have case management forums where we discuss the running of the cases on our court roll, which also includes judiciary, because judiciary are involved in case management, because we need to unpack the challenges that affect the finalization of cases on our court roll. So that on its own, yes, it might not be at the level where it's supposed to be, but it is there and it's happening. And I spoke about the prosecution guided approach, because an investigator, yes, investigation may take long. I heard the lady that was saving her job here speaking about DNA and the like. We have areas that are in the border of KZN, in the Eastern Cape, that depend on the lab that is in Port Elizabeth. I don't know how many kilometers you drive from Bizana to Port Elizabeth. More than 6 hours drive for one to deliver a sample of DNA. So there is also those challenges that we're facing. Now, these are things that we speak about when we have this engagement with SAPS as to the delays. It's not like we're just looking and turning a blind eye on cases that are long on the court roll. We keep record, we keep track of those cases. Yes, we do get, thank you very much, because I also coordinate DNA in our division. We do receive the reports, and the report that you spoke about that we got from Advocate Skippers, we have those results, and actually they actually make an impact in terms of our cases that we finalize on our court roll. We finalize a lot through the coordination from the national office, because it helps us a lot. Thank you very much on that. Moving on, there was a question also about public awareness. I just want to mention a few things. Earlier on, I just spoke briefly about the concept of public education and also awareness. You know, there's a nice concept that NPA came about with. It's a community prosecution initiative. It's very new, and it's making inroads in our communities, because we do go to schools. I'll just make an example. You know, there's a lot that is happening in our schools. There's a lot that is happening in our rural areas. But with the concept of community prosecution, we are able now to go and identify the hotspots within our communities. Hotspots through the stats that we get from the police. If Brigadier tells me in an area so and so, we see a number of cases going up, we do identify and go to those areas. We don't go there alone. We go with SAPS, we go with DSD, we go with any other NGO that is working within that space to ensure that we educate the communities, we sensitize them about their rights so that they feel free to come forward. And we take that seriously, because those cases, whether they are cold cases that were reported, and they feel that they have lost trust in the justice system. Now being there, being part of the committee as NPA, it actually built that trust that they have lost with the community, with the justice system, that we say, we are your advocates, we are taking your cases, we ensure that those cases, they run smooth and speedily when they get to court. Also with the inadequate witness support. We have court preparation officers. Witnesses are prepared before they go to court. No witness goes to court without being prepared. They go through a thorough preparation. They are prepared, they are given all the tools in terms of taking them through the court process and telling them what they should be expecting, what they should be expecting from the defense, because these people are the people that are supposed to make our case strong at the end of the day to see that they get justice. So witnesses are being prepared for each and every case before they get to court. The withdrawal of cases, it's quite tricky when you come to withdrawal of cases and cases that are not enrolled. There are many reasons that, I want to be politically correct when I say this. You don't withdraw a case because you feel like withdrawing a case. You withdraw a case. I said earlier on here, one of the impediments in terms of us putting these cases forward, the victims are influenced by families. The victims, they run away. I'll make an example. A case of a victim that opens a case now. The family decide to take that victim to Cape Town. Whenever you look for a victim, the case is ready to proceed in court today. When you look for the victim, the police, they go everywhere looking for the victim. The family will not disclose the whereabouts of the victim. Guess what? Later on, 10 years, 15 years later, when that child is an adult, because being a victim of sexual assault, it remains with the victim who was a child when he was influenced by the family. She or she comes back and say, I was a victim, but I did not get justice. But who victimized the child is the family by hiding and taking the child away from where he was supposed to get justice from. What else? I'm not sure. On the issue of TCCs, because this is a guru on TCCs, I'm not going to speak about the TCCs. They know better about the You have your 1 minute, Mr. Khos.
Why you give me
Actually, you don't have 1 minute.
True.
You have dealt with all your minutes. Now you're going to respond. I'm just saying that she must not chair and give you 1 minute because she has long concluded her minutes. So you just have to respond.
Yeah.
I will tell you when you have.
Yeah, I'm responding just two things. Yeah, clarity to the issue of National Register for Sex Offenders. I don't agree with the MP, the Honorable. How it works is that it's a national register. It's justice register, national, not even provincial. So it's not accessible to anyone. If you want to employ someone, what you do, you call or you direct to the National Office of Justice. So we cannot share any register. We don't have it at all. Yeah, and I wanted to, number one, to clarify that. Number two, tutuzelas, there was a question whether tutuzelas are in the rurals. Most of our tutuzelas are in the rurals. That was the basic reason why we have tutuzelas, is for the people to access health and access justice. We've got tutuzelas in Libode, Lusikisiki, Bizana, Matatiela, which are very rural. Then, in areas where we don't have tutuzelas, what we have advised Department of Health and the CEOs of the hospital is that they must establish, and we assisted them in establishing a rape crisis center. What happened then is that when we want to establish a tutuzela, our first thing that we look at this rape crisis center, and we upgrade them to tutuzelas. And the other thing that we look at is we look at the stats. Okay, the issue of stats with all our access departments that our stats do not correspond, it will always be like that. If you look at SAPS, for instance, if they have got a gang rape, 5 people raping this complainant, when they register that case, they register that case as 5 cases. But when it comes to us, we register it as 1 case because there's 1 case docket. When they finalize that case, they finalize 5 cases. On our side, we finalized 1 case. Nationally, it's like that. Nationally, it's like that. There's something that needs to be, maybe you can take notice so that you can, in Parliament.
Or are you raising that as a reason why there is
Yeah,
inconsistency in terms
discrepancy.
of the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's how we count as policies in these different departments.
We note that. We note that. It's
It is like that. That is a true fact. Yeah, if they've got 5 accused, those are 5 cases to them. But if they've got 5, let's say 1 victim is raped by 5 people, SAP has registered that case as 5 cases. Yeah. But when it comes to us, it's 1 case. We've got 1 docket with 5 accused. That is 1 case to us. Yeah, it's 1 trial. But you can do your research, you
No,
can
it's fine.
consult, you will.
We are not disagreeing with you. What we are just worried how rife is that kind of a scenario where you will have an individual being raped by many
It's
people,
common.
so that it tests.
It
But
is
it's fine.
common.
We will look into that.
Gang rape
proceed
is
with your
happening.
answer so that we then conclude.
Yes. Okay, and then before I step down, the other thing that I just need us to take note, statutory rape versus teenage pregnancy. Those are 2 different things. We cannot say because this is statutory rape, this is teenage pregnancy. Why your status of teenage pregnancy doesn't tally up with the statutory rape? It won't, because those are 2 different things. I don't, unless you want me to explain further on that. Okay. Okay. That is all, unless there are other questions.
Thank you very much. We have dealt with the responses. I'm just going to do a small remarks and also the co-chair, and then we will give it to the chair of the committee just to make her final remarks also and lay a way forward. But you see, colleagues, it will be saddening if we come to a province, engage stakeholders, and still live with a feeling that says nothing much is going to change in as far as the situation that confronts our children is concerned. And we have accordingly, collectively as stakeholders, identified where the biggest problem is. I hear the NPA says that there is a coordination, and the coordination which the NPA would speak about, it would be limited to the security cluster. But what is clear is that for us to be able to nip this problem, you would need a widespread coordination of stakeholders. For instance, somebody spoke about the problems that we encounter with with basic education. Health also has a role. Those are not necessarily within the security cluster, but they do have a role to play in addressing the challenge that we are having in our hands. And we say to you that part of the big problem which we have is lack of that coordination. It is that coordination that we're talking about. And we then say that is a problem. The second thing is that this is a process of parliament, which is ultimately going to be returned to Parliament, is going to be engaged for a decision. I would have wanted to hear more of recommendations from colleagues on what do we then do to enhance their capacity to respond to the challenges that we are dealing with. Of course, it has come in pieces there and there, but largely what arises, and I would believe that many honorable members would agree with me, is a very limited degree of willingness on the part of the bearers of offices, which I think that has to be attended to. Now we are going to take this to Parliament. Of course, questions that have not been responded to, we will request that they be responded to in writing so that everything else find expression. But the question of willingness which I've raised does not necessarily mean that the committed men and women that are helping to attend to these things are not recognized. They are recognized, and we wish that they continue. Now let me give to Honorable Chauke to also make her remarks. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you very much. I think my co-chair has spoken quite a mouthful. I think what we want to do is take an appreciation to all the stakeholders who have been with us in this period, which we were given the responsibility to oversee as a portfolio committee, obviously with other portfolio committees as well. Just taking an appreciation to our presenters, the stakeholders, the different structures and organizations that have been part of this process and have made the meaningful contribution. Also appreciating our support staff and the team and the members of the National Assembly who've been part of this entire process and ensuring that it is possible. I think some of the issues that might have not been clarified, as my honorable co-chairperson has indicated, we will then request that those be submitted in writing. But more importantly is for us to really understand what is the systematic barriers and challenges that are faced by particular provinces so that we can start to correct that, whether it is at a legislative point where there's bottlenecks or interference or hindrances. You need to be the ones who are providing us with some of those solutions so we know how to ensure that we make your work much easier. The scourge of statutory rape is a very serious one. And we are seeing it come out more and more, and we can no longer wait for it to be on social media in order for us to bring attention to it. You are the people who are on the ground. You are the implementers. You must be the ones who ensure that our children are kept safe in our communities. And SAPS, we appreciate your awareness campaigns. I think some of your awareness campaigns collaborate with the different structures and NGOs within the communities so that you can have more boots on the ground and ensuring that we're catching our criminals. And MPA must ensure that there is accountability and there's prosecutions that take place. Let us make sure that our young girls and boys are kept safe. They are not returned to their perpetrators. Let's make sure that they are not dependent on their perpetrators. We must safeguard the future of tomorrow. But overall, as a portfolio committee and the portfolio committees that are with us, we would like to appreciate the presentations and the audience you have given us. I am going to make some announcement and then hand over to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. Kindly take note, members of the Portfolio Committee, the chairperson has requested that you remain behind for about 5 minutes. We are then going to proceed with a walkabout so that we can then be given a view of the facilities and looking at the victim-friendly facilities, and also have an opportunity to engage a bit further before we then head into the next part of this journey. But thank you very much once again. Chairperson, I then hand over to you.
Thank you very much, co-chairpersons. You've already done all the thank yous, but maybe then let me just stand up for this last moment. This brings us then to the end, colleagues, of leg one of this parliamentary engagement. It has been a mammoth task, and I must say the stats and the information that has been shared with us has really painted a picture of a nation in crisis as it pertains to the rights of our children. And we are obligated as communities, as leaders, as public servants, as elected representatives of our people to do more. And that is what we plan to do. So I want to ask, as Honourable Tsotetsi had mentioned, if there are any further recommendations that you want to put forward for us to consider in the report, please do use the channels of getting in contact with Mr. Dumizweni. You spoke about your vehicles, you spoke about cooperation and other matters, but there might be other recommendations that you want us to include. From here, we are going back to Parliament. On Monday, the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities will have an online session where we will engage the Commission for Gender Equality, Human Rights Commission, and other key stakeholders, UNICEF, Save the Children, and others. On Tuesday, the Portfolio Committee of Basic Education will take the lead, and I think we will take back the issue of the teachers who are not following up on the dropouts of children from the system. But we will be referring many of the issues that have been raised here to the various portfolio committees, be they police, justice, social development, and others. I think I just then want to take the opportunity to thank the Portfolio Committee of Basic Education, Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Health, for being with us. I want to thank the parliamentary team that travelled with us and made everything perfect for us along the way, or at least assisted us to be able to execute our duties. The team led by Ms. Giba, Mr. Dumizweni, Ms. Abrams, Ms. Levendal, Ms. Matthews and Ms. Silly, and also our photographer who really took very nice pictures of us despite all the challenges, everybody always asking him to take more pictures. But thank you very much, we really appreciate it. We do have to capture the moments and our work as we go along. Colleagues, that having been said, I want to thank all of you again. Some of you were with us for the entire week almost, all the way from Gauteng, so thank you very much. And we will, once we submit the first report to Parliament on our findings and recommendations, we will also make sure that we share that with you. And as we said, this is an ongoing process. So even if you see that in our recommendations, it is not a proper report and you want to still add in the new year to our second round of discussions and engagements, we will allow you to do that. But let's work together. Let's fix this issue of coordination. We have to do it because our children are suffering and many are falling through the cracks and gaps. So let's unite, and thank you very much for your time and for your support. Thank you, co-chairpersons.
Thank you. Long live the